Hello everyone, and welcome to SB Living. This is SB, and this is the place for slow, spiritual, and seasonal living where we celebrate food, faith, and family in the everyday. So in the mornings, especially during the fall, it gets very dark, and when I mean early mornings, I'm talking about 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe a little bit earlier, sometimes a little bit later. But the secret to a cozy life, to a simple life, actually takes a lot of planning. And in the autumn or in the fall, it is very important to make sure that your routines are continuing, that you know what's coming up. It's going to be the beginning of a busy holiday season, and so keeping things clear as much as possible is almost everything to me at this time of year. It might be for you as well. And you do the things that you can't live without. For me, it's coffee for sure. I've gotten into this rhythm of making the froth of the milk in the French press. I got the French press to actually make coffee, and then I realized the instant coffee is just easier for me to do in the morning. It's less noisy. It's just what I need. I'm not a snob when it comes to coffee, though I kind of should be, being an Italian, but you know what? It is what it is. I just want that warm wake me up, and the frother from the French press is actually a lot better than the electric ones that I've had in the past. So if you haven't done the milk frothing like this, like I'm showing you right now, it's worth it, and this thing will almost never break, and it will not run out of battery or accidentally break because you got it wet while you were cleaning it. It's pretty cool to froth your milk with the French press, and it's perfect every time. So behind all of these apples that we got from apple picking is a perfect backdrop for the planning that I have to do for the upcoming week. So with the coffee, before everybody gets up, I usually just take out the planner that I have. I don't do anything in particular, but I've developed my own system. And you're talking to a planner girl that's been a planner girl for quite some time, and nothing really ever stuck with me. I would try all these different planners for weeks, sometimes a few months, thinking I found something, and then it would change. And so I'll tell you what's working for me right now. I'm actually making and using a set of 5 monthly calendars for each month and working my way through that way. So I have 5 monthly spreads. One is for meals, one's for life, one is for what I'm doing here on YouTube, another one is for my budget, and the last one is for my prayers or any feast days that I have coming up. And it's just nice to compare all the calendars and then just do my daily writing or to-do lists that I need. I don't forget the Magnificat every morning, which is my morning prayers. It is a devotional that is really beautiful, and it gives you everything that you need for a solid day just to center yourself. So with these apples that we got from apple picking, again, we live in New York, and so every year we would go on any time that we would have available to one of the many, many farms upstate and pick bushels and bushels of apples. And we have to work our way through them, and it's not just apple pie. So I am doing an oatmeal for this morning for myself, and I kind of got into oatmeal when I was pregnant and breastfeeding. So I breastfed my children for 7 years straight. I had my kids about 2.5 years apart each, and I maybe stopped breastfeeding the last trimester of each pregnancy before I had another one, and oatmeal really helped me. It also turns out it helps my blood sugar stay even. I'm not diabetic, but I found out I have anemia, and I don't know what it is, but having a solid breakfast or full of protein or just a very slow burning carb in the morning helps me stay even. during the rest of the day, and it also helps me to remember to eat better the rest of the day. And it's very quick. I do the Quaker oats you can buy in bulk. It's the instant oats, or quick cooking oats rather, and then you just cook the fruit in it. And during the fall it's going to be apples, a little bit of brown sugar. I could put some walnuts in here as well, and this is going to be good. This will sustain me for the rest of the day. It's also really diverse. You can do a variety of fruits and nuts or seeds or anything else for the rest of the seasons, and it'll be the perfect breakfast in a way for anything that you have in your refrigerator. So I'm making this soup again. I made it last video, and to all the new subscribers, the hundreds that I gained over the past few days, I'm so grateful that you're joining me here. And listen, I'm making this again for you too. It is the Cucuzza soup. It is going to be slightly different this time than last time. You could tell me what I did different, but here it is the basic base. The onions, the tons of garlic I'm going to add in here. I got some celery, some carrots, the cucuzza right in the middle. And yeah, it's just, know that you can keep making the same thing. It'll come out slightly different each time, but it's that routine, it's that tradition, it's that comfort of knowing exactly what you're going to get out of what you're cooking that makes any seasonal rhythm enjoyable. It's knowing that the seasons are changing outside. We have different focus during the year. We're going to get into this season of just family and renewal and meditation and just turning inward. But soups like this, it makes everything that much more cozy and that much more enjoyable for yourself and for serving others around you. So as I build this soup, I'm not really following a recipe, but I am just looking around to seeing what I have. And I have some fresh tomatoes that I got on a recent Costco trip, and that's just gonna go in just because why not? It's fresh vegetables, it's building up the flavors, and it's what these soups are meant to be. It's meant to give you good nutrition, not just for comfort, but also for your body, for your soul. And the weekly soup, the big pot, is kind of what's needed in this fall season when the temps are cooling down and you just want something warm without having to always resort to tea. And you could just whip out this soup and call it a day. And I really like to add other things to bulk it up. So here we have some beans. You could use any beans. Cannellini beans would be really nice in here, but hey, I had a can of red kidney beans, so those are going in. And more salt than you think you need, which is always say, and some pepper, some basil leaves that I always have frozen in the freezer. And this is going to simmer until I decide when it's done. So in New York, we have 4 very clear seasons, and we have a lot of wildlife to come to visit us, including the birds, during these seasons. And I like to ensure that they have their seeds and their water, not so much because, I like it and it's beautiful to see the birds come through, but I find that it also attracts them to those locations where the birdseed is and not my garden where I'm trying to grow things. So it's like a negotiation or a silent understanding I have with the birds in my area. It's like if I give you these nice seeds, you leave my seeds in my dirt alone, right? I don't know if it works, but I like to think it does. And so I always like to re-up the bird seed, especially when it becomes cooler, just to help out the local wildlife here. And it's nice to see the different birds we get. We get a lot of blue jays, some cardinals, a lot of redbreast, a lot of finches. I'm always going to get the crows and the pigeons, but it is going to be a beautiful way of just looking at the birds coming through every so often, and we get to see it right out of the kitchen window. So to finish off the soup, I am going to drop in some leftover ravioli that, again, I got from Costco. It is the spinach and cheese ones that you've probably seen if you shop there. And I like to drop it in anything that requires a little extra bulk. And I think for this soup, it's worth it. I'm not going to put in any other pasta or anything like that, but the ravioli are really going to just deliver a different flavor and a look. Ravioli doesn't always have to be with a hefty, creamy, or thick red sauce. Having them float in a nice vegetable soup just allows you, I think, to have a different experience. And the kids love it. They're large enough to cut into 4s or into halves, and it's that creaminess that comes out of the ravioli that really brings a velvety texture to the soup. It's beautiful. It's so delicious and super quick to cook. So like I said, we've been apple picking, and it's one of those traditions that keeps the family together and we look forward to, right? And my kids are always excited to peel these apples. I have this contraption, I don't know where I got it actually, it's so old, but you put this apple on top of the spikes and you kind of clamp it in, you press the button, which the kids love to do, and that peeler on the outside is just going to go from top to bottom all the way down and gives you these big spirals of apple peel. It's so much fun, and it's amazing how clean it can get. I don't really care about the little leftover peel that's stuck on it. It's just a matter of getting the bulk of it off. And every kid, I just portion out about 2 apples each to peel, and then I'll pile it inside of the crust. It is something that when we do it, we feel that the season has officially arrived, and it just sets us up for the rest of the couple of weeks between now and Christmas. And it's a really nice way to get the kids involved without having to worry about a lot of knives. So I suggest you get one of these things. I'm sure you can find it on Amazon somewhere, and it just allows you to have a nice, clean, crisp apple that you could slice up like I'm doing right here. So just like the apple pie in my last video, it is a very simple concoction here. It's cinnamon, it's nutmeg, salt, some lemon juice, some sugar, a little bit of flour just to allow it to get gooey when it gets cooked. And that is it. It's not a lot. Simpler the better. That's my mantra that I always go for, because doing too much of something, especially with food that you eat, gosh, so many things can go wrong. But if the simpler it is, almost anybody can do this. I like these deep dish pie dishes, especially for apple pie when the apple slices do tend to just pile up too much. I've always found those very flat, traditional, the regular 9-inch pie dishes. So many things come bubbling out, and I'd rather the crust be a little bit more flaky with the air that'll come through and steam between the bottom and the top crust, which you'll see when I serve it up in a few minutes. It's perfect. So deep dish is the way to go. If you haven't done it yet, I suggest you try it and tell me how you think it comes out. So on the crust, we like to put the kids' initials or our family initials or anything that symbolizes us as a family, as a unit. You could also put any other symbols that have meaning for you, whether it's a cross if you're making near Christmas, or sometimes I've seen a beautiful design of the different symbols of the apostles on top. If you make it for any of their feast days, it's just another slight touch without kind of going overboard, of making a beautiful gesture in the food that you serve. So here's the apple pie, and we tell you after it's cooled down a little bit, it becomes very crusty. If you see me cutting it right here, it's going straight through. I love crusty crust. The apple slices did cook down a bit. It's not going to be totally pretty on the plate. It's still very warm, so it's going to fall apart. Yep, it's falling apart, but it does not detract from the taste. If you could smell this right now, oh my gosh, there's nothing better than warm apple pie.
And the back. It's 2 people.
So part of the fall rhythm and the autumn rhythms is to get the sauce going once a week. Yes, we are a weekly tomato sauce family. I could make this with my eyes closed. And it's something that I don't just save for Sundays. Actually, Sundays I don't make this regular Italian tomato sauce, if you will. I usually make it during the week because it is that quick, it is that fast. I've gotten it down to a science, so here I am sharing it with you. The first thing you do is you heat up the oil, you put in some onion and some garlic just to soften it up, and before they get too soft, you pour in your tomatoes. I do 2 28 cans of crushed tomatoes, 1 28 can of whole plum peeled tomatoes, crush it either with my hand or in the pot directly. And then you just add your herbs. I like fresh basil leaves if I have it, some fresh oregano, salt and pepper, lots and lots of salt. Cover it and you simmer it for as long as you can. The longer, the better. Even when the oil starts to separate in the sauce, that's when you know you've simmered it enough. And that's when you have that beautiful sauce where the pasta will just soak up everything. All right, so how long should you simmer your sauce? It really depends on the strength of your simmer and your pot. So in this particular pot, which I've used for my entire life, because this was my mom's pot, I know that it takes about 2 hours to simmer a nice tomato sauce on low. As always, I need to have some protein on the side. It just can't have pasta by itself, even though yes, we've had that. But just to zhuzh it up a little bit and to give a little extra nutrition to the meal, I always like to have something. So whether it's a couple pieces of meat, in this case some chicken breast, I'm gonna saute it, just put in some sauce, toss it with it, just put it on the side. It does allow us to have a more balanced meal, even though it's not, your more traditional Mediterranean style meal. You never really combine meat with your pasta, but in this case, I like to just put a little bit on the side just to make sure everyone's getting the nutrition that they need. So with this beautiful pasta toss and plating these bowls for the family, I want to thank you for joining me here this week, and I hope to see you again next week. Stay safe and God bless.